Welcome into another episode of the Inspired Show with Joe Cohen. As you guys know, I'm always looking to inspire you to perform at your highest level. Overcome, expand, exceed is the name of the show. We're super excited for our co-host today, Simon Polito, the extraordinaire. I just get such a great energy from you. Thank you for coming into the show today. I'm really excited to have you on.
Dude, I'm grateful to be on the show. So thank you, Joe. I'm glad, I feel the same way about you, my friend.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
grateful to be in your presence.
Yeah. So we met because we were both models at a fashion show, which I see that you do quite frequently.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm doing it this weekend, actually.
You're always dressed for the part.
Yeah, we're always ready to go.
But yeah, that was my first, runway, modeling, gig. So
it was mine too.
Really?
It was. It was my first ever time.
And then it's just like caught wildfire.
They asked me to come back.
Yeah.
and I guess they liked me.
That's awesome.
So it worked out well.
So you and I almost instantaneously connected when we were there. We had the same energy. We're a big proponent of surrounding yourself with people, with like-minded people and people that you get the good vibe from and all that kind of stuff like that. So we practically immediately connected, right? And over time, I think I came up to you and I said I want to be on TV, and you're like, I could get you on TV, and I was like, okay, well, great. I'm on TV, but I'm gonna get back on TV, right?
Yeah.
That
was my phone.
That's your phone.
Yeah, don't worry.
All right, no worries. But yeah, so basically, once we kind of just started our conversations, one thing led to another, and here we are today, fast friends.
Saw you at a few events.
Yep.
There's a lot of people as events, but we gravitated to each other every time. I kept seeing you.
Yep. Same networking events.
Same people, same crowd. But again, there was good people there and people you don't need to do business with, but I somehow managed to always gravitate towards you and came back to safety. And I'm glad we did.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you come from a different environment than us Californians here, right? You're from Australia, right?
Yes, I am.
And so were you always in real estate, or did you come from Australia to California as an adult? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Born and raised Sydney, Australia, Sydney's Northern Beaches, a beach called Manly Beach. So we say you got a very manly man here.
Yeah.
Says it on my passport.
That works.
So I'll live by that. And I started in real estate at 17.
Okay.
Straight out of high school. Basically, I barely finished high school, to be honest with you. I just knew what I had to do to get through it, to be able to get the qualifications to open up a real estate class. So I just did what was compulsory and necessary, and then jumped into real estate classes at the local city college. That was a 6-month class during the day or a 2-year at night class part-time. I started full-time, got offered a job pretty much straight away by a family friend. My dad's a builder and contractor, and he was building a car dealership for a friend of mine's father, and he asked what's Simon doing with himself now that he's finished school? My dad said he's jumping into real estate. He told me to come up and see him. I went and saw him, had a job.
Wow.
It turned out I very much respect him. Michael Gigliotti is his name, and he's known as one of the hardest bosses to ever work for.
Oh, interesting.
He's known in the area. If you tell someone you worked for him, you come in on a very high stature. I served 3 years under him.
Yeah.
I worked for 3 years in property management. It was a small office, so you did everything from reception to leasing to sales, residential, commercial, industrial, land. We did everything.
Wow.
And it was great because I learned everything.
Yeah.
It was incredibly challenging at the age of 17.
Sure.
My ego was a lot bigger than my knowledge.
Right.
And I thought I could do everything.
Brain not fully developed.
Stupidly went and bought a BMW that I couldn't afford at a 20% interest rate because I just wanted to fit in, and almost killed myself doing it, like trying to pay the repayments. And so I did 14 years in the city of Sydney. Migrated from the suburbs to the city in the later parts of my career, and was fortunate enough to earn my place as number one agent in the city of Sydney under the age of 30.
Wow.
For 2 years running.
That's amazing.
Would have been 3, but I turned 30.
Okay.
So I had to go to the next category.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
40 under 40.
Yeah, right. We're looking for that one now. Well, I'm just turned 40, so now I guess I'm going to 50. So
awesome.
50 under 50.
Yeah.
But it came out here in October of 2015.
Okay.
Actually, so next
Great
month,
time to be here.
actually next week will be 8 years of me living in this country. Came out here not really knowing how the market worked, assuming that it was the same way as Australia. It's completely different here.
Oh,
Completely different. I mean, one
that's
you
actually
guys,
good to know because I would assume the same thing, right? Real estate is real estate anywhere you go, right?
yeah, you are right to a point. Obviously, the concept and the idea of buying and selling and the transaction is similar, but the whole paperwork side of it, the technology side of it. I mean, in Australia, there's no MLS,
Got it.
so you
How
know
do you market your properties?
you got to pay to be on a website.
Okay.
And there's no buying side. It's only a listing side. So if you don't list, you don't survive.
Got it.
And you know, unfortunately, if you and I were in Sydney right now, we wouldn't be friends because you're my enemy. I'm trying to beat you.
So there's no collaboration.
There's no collaboration
Got
at all.
it.
Very rarely there's a collaboration. One reason for that is because commissions are so low in Australia. You're averaging 1.5%. That's the average.
Got it.
But you don't pay for any of the marketing. The seller pays for all the marketing.
Okay.
A seller in Australia is called a vendor, and you call it vendor paid VPA, vendor paid advertising. So every
Okay.
listing I would do would be between a $5,000 and $30,000 marketing campaign that a seller would pay up front to sell their home.
Okay. So they're not taking it out of the sale of the home.
No.
They're putting it out.
Oh, if you want to go broke as a business, you'd do that. But if you want to survive, you get them to pay up front.
Interesting.
And I tell you what, that's how you get homes sold
Yeah.
because they're committed.
Yeah.
Right over here, yes, we get a higher commission, but we've got all the expenses. And you find, unfortunately, there are agents that don't have the money to contribute towards their advertising, and marketing works.
Right.
Right, it's the reason why we dress and perform the way we do because that's what gets people's attention. It gets us business.
Yeah.
So you are seeing, especially in this market right now, a lot of agencies fall away because they've got expenses that they can't maintain anymore, and they're not making the money back.
Exactly.
And you got sellers that are just testing the market. So it's challenging. You got to find buyers right now and sellers that are have to sell, not want to sell.
Yeah.
But yeah, so long story short, I did 14 years in Australia, and then I've done another 8 years here. So 22 years of
And
real
you really
estate.
came in a good time to be in real estate in California.
It was challenging. I'm not gonna lie. It was challenging at first because I came here in 2015 and the market was a little bit strong. It was coming up. I started in San Diego down in Rancho Santa Fe. Maybe that wasn't the best area for me to start in at that time because it was a very sleepy suburb. Average days on market's 200 days.
Right.
There's really no there's no urgency.
A lot of country
and
still.
I'm coming from the city of Sydney where it's hustle bustle, go 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 like New York.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going insane here.
Right.
So then I moved to downtown San Diego. And then couldn't work there either because every damn building was in litigation, and you couldn't show up, you couldn't do open houses, you couldn't do anything really.
Right.
So then I found a way to get up to Orange County, and I found somewhat normality. Irvine was a hub, and I started doing a lot of business out here with one brokerage in particular. We started an auction company. That company was dissolved, and I went out on my own, got rid of my partner, went out on my own, and we started RECA.
Yeah.
And that's been now 4.5 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said something when you first started in the industry, which actually a lot of sales gurus and a lot of sales coaches will actually advise you to go out and do. Like, hey, you want to fit the part, you want to look the part, you want to act the part. So go buy that car, right? Go buy that fancy suit, right? And then people will think that you are the successful person that you
Perception
are.
is everything.
And they'll perceive that you're successful, so they'll do business with you. Do you find that even though you felt like you were struggling to make those payments, that at some point there was some success that came from a result of that vision that people were getting of you?
Somewhat. But Sydney's a very blue collar, or was. Not so much anymore, but when I was growing up at that time, it was a very blue collar community, and they're very good at bringing you back down to reality. Like, look, don't be a dick, don't be a show off, don't be don't be a wanker. We'd say in Australia, don't be a wanker. Come on, mate, you could stop driving daddy's car and just go back in your Camry and come back to work.
Got it.
Sort of thing. So there's very much about don't be a show off. Whereas in America, I did find that a lot of people gravitated towards the shiny objects. The lights, the cameras, the exposure, the social media. It's over here. You put a camera in front of out in a marketplace, and people will jump in front of it.
Yes.
In Australia, they're a lot more conservative, a little bit more English
timid.
style, British style, reserved, conservative. So it didn't do me as many favors as I was hoping for it to do. I got called a little daddy's boy, and it used to fire me up actually because I didn't have any help from my family. Not that they didn't want to help me.
Self-made at 17.
I
right?
went out on my own. I
No
mean,
handouts.
No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, I'm very blessed to have a beautiful family, but unfortunately, my family, we didn't have a lot of money and we struggled. And everything I've got today is from what I've made.
Yeah,
And
that's
like,
amazing
I wore the same suit, believe it or not, for the first 2 years of my life.
Why not?
I didn't have any money to buy another one.
You were probably like me, and you were sure that you weren't going to spill any ketchup or anything on it, right?
Dude, I would go home and I would spot clean it every night.
Yeah.
I'd wash. I only had 2 shirts.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to wash them. I'd be ironing them on. I'd be ironing it. I'd be getting everything ready. I'd try and press my suit. And I was incredibly
beginnings.
proud. And I wasn't able. I made a promise to myself: you're not buying a suit till you close your first deal.
Okay,
All right.
there's your goal.
You're not buying a watch until you close your next deal. What was the reward for your deal? Right. That's why I made sure I rewarded myself with every deal. So now I've got a nice collection of timepieces and I've got nice suits. But I didn't have that to start with.
Yeah,
Yeah, I earned it.
yeah.
And
But you set goals, right?
oh, you have to.
That was the key. Okay, I want to go get a Rolex, so let me put it on my vision board. Let me figure out a way to get it.
Totally.
Right? You reverse engineered to probably figure out how much commission you need to earn to afford that Rolex.
Minus
right?
taxes, minus everything. Like, okay, I've got to do 3 deals at this price point, but I can still have some money, but the saving part of it will go towards this.
It's amazing.
And that was how I actually was able to buy my first property. Like, I bought my first property at 26 or 27. Beautiful condo on the beach in Sydney. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so proud. I never thought I'd ever get there. My family, unfortunately, my dad went through a really bad run and lost everything in 89, 90 when we had our crash in Australia and interest rates were 36%. My dad was a developer. He built over 200 luxury villas in the city of Sydney, won all the Master Awards of Excellence for design and architecture and construction. And he didn't anticipate the market crashing and the rates going to what they went to. And like I said, they went over 30%.
There's a lot of people that are in the market right now that didn't expect that the interest rates would be at 7.25 right now, right?
Dude, I would give anything to have my rate at 7.25.
Right?
Now. My rate's over 10%.
Yeah.
I would kill to have that rate right now. Like, I'm getting killed right now as a foreigner.
Yeah.
I'm getting punished for leaving Australia. I'm being punished for living in this country as far as taxes go and loan mortgages. But this is a normal rate.
This is a normal rate. We talk about how the younger generation has been spoiled because they've only seen a 2.75 interest rate or a 3.75 interest rate, and now it's basically caused a freeze in the marketplace with those younger buyers because they're like, how am I going to be able to afford this kind of an interest rate? What they don't realize is that the higher the interest, the more the tax deduction.
Everything's a tax deduction. You can claim your interest.
Yeah.
Right? Again, people don't realize that. Same reason why people don't use a property manager in this country. It blows my mind.
Right.
Why are you not using a property manager? It's a whole tax deduction.
Yep.
And you have someone else to handle all the crap you don't want to do.
Exactly.
You know?
The middle of the night calls.
I lost my key. Can you let me in? Sort of. Oh, my rent's
evictions.
my rent's not due, not paid. I need to go through the eviction notice and process. How do I do it?
Yeah.
That blows my mind because in Australia, every office has a property management division internally.
Got it.
And that's actually how we get a lot of our sales, right? Because think about it, Joe. If you started in property management, chances are you're going to be working for several landlords looking after their homes. They're going to get to know you. Guess what happens when they want to sell it? They're going to give it to the guy or girl who has been looking after their home for several years, knows it backwards.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you would get business and you would help them flip into something else or upgrade up or downsize down, whatever it was. But you had established relationships that just kept feeding you more business. Like the property management division keeps the lights on in the office.
Yep.
The sales is the cream.
Exactly.
All right. And you can make great money in doing that. But for some reason, it wasn't adopted over here in the United States.
No, we want to have specific property managers that only do property management.
Yeah.
And that's what their focus is, right?
Yeah.
Which to me, I get the point. I was actually calling on some expired listings a few weeks back and got in touch with a 22-unit building, contacted the listing agent. I'm like, hey, this listing expired. Are you going to relist it? He's like, the property owner is still thinking in yesterday's values, and he wants a certain price. And so we actually got to talking. He's like, yeah, I sold this building to him in 1986, and I've been managing all 22 units for him since that time, and now he wants me to sell it. Right? I was like, wow, amazing
Back
concept.
to my point. There's my point. Why? Because he's been the guy that has serviced him for such a period of time, and it becomes familiar.
Yep.
Comfortable. There's
Yep.
a level of trust. I mean, everyone says about real estate agents or realtors. I call us trusted advisors.
Yeah.
All right. We can't advise though without trust. How do you earn the trust? By giving them good advice, serving them.
Right.
You know, being there to help them answer questions, go through processes, do whatever we got to do. Like even right now, where
Building
I'm
relationship.
working with you right now.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm grateful for it. I'm loving the experience. And it's like, my job is to give you the service that you've never had before.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's even more interesting because you're the agent and the seller.
Right.
And you're seeing it from two different sides when normally you'd only ever see one or the other side.
Exactly.
And it's like,
Which is exciting for me personally.
Is it?
Yeah.
Good. I'm excited to hear that.
Because I'm learning so much from a different level. Because would you agree with me that we only know what we know?
Yeah.
Right. And so I
love that quote, actually.
We actually just, narrow focus, tunnel vision, and we don't think outside the box. We get stuck in a rut, and we don't necessarily, some people would just say, call a spade a spade. This is the direction that I got to take. This is the only way.
Safety.
Right.
Safety.
And
familiar. If you're familiar with it, you're comfortable.
Yeah.
If you're out of your comfort zone, what happens?
That's
when magic happens.
magic happens.
That's when magic
That's
happens.
knowledge, right?
Yeah.
That's experience.
This is why it's the inspired show, because when you get inspired, you're inspired to try something possibly new,
Yep.
right? And you gravitated towards something new,
Mm-hmm.
different. I mean, look, whatever the situation may have been, you were looking for another tool, another avenue to go down, another way to explore to get you to that destination. And, we had a phenomenal open house on the weekend.
Yep. 30 people.
30 groups,
Yeah.
dude. 30 groups in
almost
1
100
hour.
after almost 100 days on market.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
Right?
Everybody's already seen it. They're like, oh, there's something wrong with the property.
And I would tell this, I tell this to people every week when I do trainings, and they don't believe me because they just think I'm making up numbers. Because a lot of people out there are unfortunately making up numbers, to get, selling them the dream but not doing it. Fake it till you make it, if you will. I've got the statistics, the hard facts, and I'm grateful you actually videoed that day a little bit, and you've posted it, and very grateful for what you did there.
Yeah.
And it showed people, okay, I think your caption was, we tried something different, and guess what? It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny that,
Shocker.
huh? Mind blowing, right? Like, amazing. What's going to happen if you jump off the cliff? You're going to fall, but you might fall in some water. You might fall on a rock. What are you going to jump on?
Yeah, exactly.
And you jumped on the right thing. You jumped on something, and it's turning out well. Like I said, my throat's a bit hoarse today because I've been calling all day on your property. Literally all day, I've just been calling. I've probably made like 200 calls just on your property today, just speaking to everyone about it.
That's awesome.
And it's funny, like, you get your agents that don't answer their phone.
Sure.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And you get your agents that are rude. And then you get the other ones that are very grateful for the helping
Yeah.
because they're not used to someone ringing.
Yes.
And, obviously the
We've
area
gotten
we're
away
selling.
from that, by the way.
We need to bring it back.
I know. Like this texting and
Well,
send me your
let me
business
ask you this.
card and all that stuff.
Do you call this a texter or do you call it a phone?
I call it a phone.
Why? Because it's a
you-
phone.
you
Pick
could
it up
call.
and use it.
Yeah.
That's why I say to everyone, just use it as a phone. That's what it's built for. It's
Yeah.
not called an emailer. It's not called a texter. It's not called a
Yeah.
social media device.
Yeah.
It's called a phone.
Telephone.
Pick up the phone.
Have a conversation.
Heaven forbid someone would answer and you can actually have a conversation and get what you were trying to say in 25 text messages out in 30 seconds.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We live in a now time where everyone wants everything now. And it drives me insane. I hope you don't have this on your voicemail. It says, for a quicker response, text me. What is quicker than calling somebody?
No, I have the old school, hey, not available right now. Please leave a message and I'll call you back.
Yeah. I mean, every day I get, for a quicker response, text me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not quicker.
Yeah.
How is
Because
that?
you can choose when to respond.
Yeah.
Right?
But if you answer the phone, we can get an immediate response.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
That's a novel concept.
Little pet peeve I'm having right now. Little rant.
That's completely okay.
Again, I'm old school, dude. When I started in real estate, we had one computer in the office. We all shared it. We had a
Right.
typewriter.
Yeah.
We had a fax
Fax
machine.
machine. Yeah.
We would fax through our ads.
Yeah.
You'd cut out, you'd get some glue, a glue stick.
Yep.
You'd glue what you wanted
then
down
fax
it,
it
and
out
you'd
to
fax.
1,000
You had
numbers.
to copy it first because
Yeah.
if you put it through like that, it would get jammed in the fax machine.
Totally.
So you had to scan it first, print it off, put it to that, get the proof back, cross out what you didn't want, send it back.
When I first started in the real estate industry in 2001, that's how we got
That's when I
our
started.
leads. That's how we
Oh,
got
sorry,
our
that's
leads.
2002. Sorry.
Yeah. So I started in 2001. I answered an ad in the newspaper to say, we will license you. That was all they needed to say. We will license you, right? And I knew I always wanted to be in business, right? I didn't necessarily know I wanted to be in real estate, but Wall Street, the movie Wall Street with Charlie Sheen and Michael Douglas, right?
Great movie.
Loved everything about it. The suits, the cars, the women.
The
I was
image,
like,
the whole thing.
I'm like, that's what I want to be.
Yeah.
You know, from a very young age, I was like, I know I'm going to be in business, right? You know, fast forward to when I became a teenager, I was managing bands or helping manage bands and getting their shows set up and all that kind of stuff like that, merchandise sales.
Huh. I didn't know that about you.
It was fun.
That's really cool.
It was a good time, you know?
Yeah.
Shout out to Corrupt Citizen in Arizona.
There you go.
But, you know.
Is that where you're from originally, Arizona?
No, I moved to Arizona for 6 years. My mom moved there for her job, and I moved there my senior year.
Okay.
And so I made an agreement with my mom that if I'm going to be moving out, I need to be able to throw three keg ragers, and that's the best way for me to make friends.
Welcome
right?
to Arizona.
Yeah. So I started throwing parties at my house, and people started showing up, and that was they called me California Joe because I fit the part.
Yeah.
Had a lot more hair back then.
Oh, really? Please tell me it was down here.
It was more, at that point it was more of like a sandy afro kind of thing. You know what I mean? But
no, I had my hair down here when I
had my hair down to my shoulders. Yep, absolutely. But ultimately, what it came down to is that we wanted to create a new environment because with getting in the right room with the right people, right? So I knew from a very young age, right, that was the thing. But ultimately, when I came down to getting into real estate, it was one of those things where it intrigued me because I already had phone sales experience. I already had the ability, like you said, gift of gab and all of that kind of stuff like that. But ultimately, they enticed me by saying, hey, if you are able to get 3 appointments out of this stack of leads, we'll pay for your licensing and we'll invest in you, right? So literally, I sat down the very same day, made a bunch of phone calls, got 3 appointments, and then that was the rest, right?
I love that.
But the way that they got leads was through fax blasts, and so that's what I was.
We used to
calling
do
on.
that. We used to put random numbers in and just send.
Yeah.
Put the area code in and then just rank a number up, send it out.
Yeah.
Hope someone would see it.
Yeah. Until all the TCPA rules came in, and stopped that, and then it turned into internet leads, and then all of that kind of stuff. But we're ancient in this industry.
Dude, I remember my first boss. I said, I don't have a database. I don't have anything. He goes, you absolutely do. He went and got a phone book. In Australia, they're called the white pages. I don't know if they're called the yellow pages here.
Yep, yellow pages.
He'd get it, and he literally just, and there's A to K and L to Z, right?
Yeah.
And he got both of them like this high. He goes,
that'll teach you.
there's your database.
Yeah, I love that.
Start dialing. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And he's like, that's every household in the country, in the state of New South Wales, in the city of Sydney.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Ring.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really?
But
he's like, you got their name, you got their address, and you got their number.
Look at
what do you want?
You said you made 200 calls today.
Yeah.
So it's just ingrained in you, right?
Look, do I like doing it? I really hate calling.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it. And it is somewhat challenging for me over here. I will say that because I have an accent apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And I speak quick. Well, I'm an auctioneer. It's kind of my job to speak quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I do have a bit of a challenge sometimes communicating. And again, it depends who's answering the phone. Obviously, the area I was calling today, as you know, is a very Asian-dominated location.
Yep.
And there's already a language barrier challenge.
Sure.
Throw in another accent, it just gets everyone a little bit confused. So I'm much better. I prefer in person.
Yep.
Same reason why I wanted to come in the studio today. Not that you do them on Zoom, but like I've had people ask me to do a podcast on Zoom. I'm like, I don't want to do it on Zoom.
Yeah.
It's just not personal.
Yeah.
In person.
It's hard to feed off of each other, right? And
Yeah.
you find that, what the Zoom person's talking more than the person doing the interview, right?
And you don't even know if the person on the other side is listening.
Yeah.
You could be on mute and I'm just like nodding and you have no idea.
Yeah.
I've got music playing in the background. I got someone else walking around. I've even got pants on. You don't even know. It's like, and unfortunately, COVID endorsed all this and made it
sure
okay
did.
to do it.
It sure
But
did.
I'm glad we're past that and people are starting to come back to the work and we are starting to do more things in person.
That's why I like the environment of the co-host thing, right? I bring you on, you're here, we're talking, we're bouncing back and forth. I mean, that's
how magic happens.
Yeah, that's how the magic happens.
Have some fun.
So fast forward, you moved to California. You went into Sleepy Town, San Diego. You moved up the ranks through.
I took 6 months off because I had a baby.
Oh, okay.
So my son Elvis, my oldest, his name's Elvis. He was born on the 21st of October. So I got here on the 5th. He was born, 16 days later.
Wow.
I will tell you, this is a funny part of it. Actually, an interesting part of the story I think you might find fascinating. That month of September was my last month of working in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And no one knew I wasn't coming back. I couldn't, for immigration reasons, tell anyone that I was not coming back.
Right.
Everyone thought in
visa,
Australia,
right?
Well, I had a travel visa that I kind of had to finesse, and all under the advice of the attorney.
Sure.
The attorney's like, once you apply for a green card, if you apply in Australia, you're going to be waiting for several years for them to process it.
Got it.
If you're in the country, they allow you to stay here until they process it.
Got it.
So I knew I had to get here, but I wasn't allowed to tell anyone. I mean, they actually, the immigration center, Homeland Security, rang family of mine asking if they knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
They were trying to catch me out.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I didn't tell anyone.
And that was
it was really hard.
2001. So Homeland Security really ramped up, right?
Yeah. So I had that month of September to go as hard as I possibly could, close all my accounts, close down all my business that I had running, and make as much money as I could. Mm-hmm. I sold $48 million worth of real estate in 1 month.
Wow. Because you were focused.
Because I knew on the 5th of October,
laser focused.
Whatever sold after that date, someone else is going to get that check.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't have a lot of sales, but my average sale price was $3.5 million. But I had, decent amount of sales in 1 month. Dude, I made $1 million in that month.
So for those of you who are listening right now, if you don't think you can do that kind of volume, you got to find the right motivation. Right?
Every time you go away on a vacation, how hard do you work leading up to it?
Very hard, because you want to make sure everything's done, so then that way you're not really doing much while you're on the vacation, right?
Same mentality. I knew I wasn't going to be coming back, and I had to close it down, or someone else was going to do it for me, and they weren't going to give me any money.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I had to leave my whole book of business in Australia.
Sure.
Because that's how it works.
Yeah.
You work on a company. You work for a company. The company owned my phone. The company owned all my contacts. I left 14 years of real estate behind and started completely from scratch over here, which was really challenging.
Yeah.
I was very blessed, though, that one of my favorite clients and friends now moving forward, his actually birthday it is today. Shout out to Stephen Fuller. Happy birthday. Stephen and Philip were two guys that I was selling their home for in the crash, and I wasn't able to sell it. But I worked hard. I did everything I could, and they know I did everything I could, and just the market was unfortunately what it was. Yeah. I reached out to them when I came here and just found and discovered that they were living in New Jersey. They had moved from Australia to New Jersey. Philip got employed by Commonwealth Bank of Australia, and they had a headquarters in New York, and they moved him over for the banking. They were moving out of New Jersey. They wanted to move to Palm Springs, of all places. That was my first transaction in this country. I helped them find a place. They gave me the opportunity to represent them as buyers. And on Thanksgiving of 2015, I went and helped them buy a place. Nice. And I was able to do my first deal. From there, I've done 4 transactions with them in the last 8 years of living here.
That's awesome.
They've moved from there to Seattle to Boston to Maine, where they live now. And every time they've always used me. They're always the first guys to think of me. And it's just nice to have that Australian homeland support, I guess. Sure. What do you say? Like, there's a thing about Australians when we travel. You may have seen it when you're in your traveling expeditions. We stick together. Yeah. We get crazy, but we stick together. Yep. But we give each other a bit of shit and a bit of banter. Yeah. We have a beer with each other after, and you laugh at each other about how much of how soft you were out there. Yeah. But it's, Americans, I do find it's very challenging for me to meet friends. It's very hard for me to meet friends here, especially because it is a very pretentious location. Sure. Now, I know what it is, but it doesn't make it any easier. Yeah, no doubt. But it's a lot of fake it till you make it here, and a lot of, what have you got? What do you do? What do you own? What do you have? And what can you give me? Exactly. Yeah. I like to say this, and it might...
The with them. Yeah.
Yeah. What's in it for me? Mm-hmm. And we used to have a term where they're a waft ham. Think of what a waft ham sound. I don't know. Am I allowed to swear on this? Yeah. Okay. Waste of fucking time and money.
This is a podcast, man. We're not regulated by any FCC.
You're a waste of fucking time and money. You're a waft ham.
I love it.
Don't waste my time, you waft ham.
I just had one of those with my Riverside project. Oh my God, they wasted my time for
and your money. Yeah. You can't get it back.
Yeah.
But I say, there's a quote I say is like, in Australia,
waft
we trust first until you prove otherwise. Here, you've got to earn the trust. So just a different style. And
that is so interesting because I feel like I'm actually a trust first kind of guy.
Totally are.
Which actually sometimes, hurts me, so to speak, right? Because, I'm
leaves you vulnerable.
I'm easy to trust, but then once you break that trust, it's hard for me to get back there.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm the same way, but I'll give you the trust right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like, don't, I come in with good intentions.
Yes.
And I was always raised that you get what you give what you get.
Yes.
Give with two hands, never one.
Yep.
Don't just take, you got to give.
Yeah.
My grandfather taught me that one. Love the guy. He's my mentor, my life mentor. He's unfortunately passed away a decade ago now, but he was my life mentor. He taught me everything. I worked with him from the age of 5 at the Sydney fruit markets, selling fruit. That's how I learned how to auction.
Yeah.
I'd be selling fruit and veggies from the age of 5. Everyone wants to buy off a kid.
Yeah.
I'm screaming out, ladies and gentlemen, $5 a kilo for bananas today. Vince's homegrown tomatoes. Come on down and buy Vincenzo's homegrown tomatoes. $5 a kilo
You've been a
today.
marketer all your life.
That's all
your life.
I don't want to say it's all I know, but it's like that's what I've done.
Yeah.
And I'm a very shy guy, believe it or not.
Interesting.
I
would have never guessed.
This gives me confidence.
Okay.
This gives me confidence. Product knowledge gives me confidence. When you know what you're selling, it's not a sale.
Yeah.
It's a promotion, as far as I see it, right? I knew everything
sales
about
is marketing.
Exactly.
Right.
But people forget about that.
Yeah.
It's always like always be closing. I've never been a closer. I'm not going to make you buy something or sell something you don't want to do, right? I'm going to make you aware of the opportunities.
Yes.
Right? And then I'll do the takeaway.
There you go.
And the takeaway is what makes you realize where the fear of loss is what makes you realize what the potential is in it and whether you want to go engage or step away.
And so that's actually a brilliant segue to our ECA, right?
Yeah.
Because you and your former business partner, which now you're on your own, saw that there was a need for that takeaway, right? And that's what the auction is about.
Another tool in your tool belt.
Yeah.
Right? How do we obviously when I started the first auction company, started out of Irvine right here on Main Street, and I started with Century 21. I was working with Century 21 Masters. They had 10 offices all over the place from San Diego, Temecula, all the way up to Diamond Bar, inland as well. And I was going to each of the offices. One day I'd go to Long Beach, one day I'd go to Walnut, one day I'd be in Irvine. And I was promoting to these agents who were very heavily marketed by Mike Ferry marketing.
Yep.
Very aggressive, very matter of fact, and very much kept to the script.
Right.
Like you said, almost robotic, where they had the blinkers on.
Yep.
They didn't want to know about what else was out there. They didn't need to know what else was out there, and they were very successful. Why? Because they followed the path. They didn't. I don't want to say they were dumb, but when I find when you have an intelligent agent, they try to overthink and find a solution to everything. When you have a simple agent, I'll say, who just does what they're supposed to do, they're way more successful because they don't deter off the path.
That's actually a great point.
Right? And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way to anyone. It's just my observation.
It's like they're plugged into the
robotic.
They're plugged into the zone, and they're not going to break that zone because they're finding success, right?
Now, it used to frustrate me because I cringe when I hear the Mike Ferry expired script because I just find parts of it offensive. If I was a seller and someone asked me, when are you looking to interview the right agent, and are you in fantasy land or reality? You don't want to offend your client.
Sure.
And I built my business on referrals.
Or the previous agent that may just didn't have the right vision for the property.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's always there's always two sides to every story. The seller will always blame someone, and unfortunately, it's normally us because they've got to blame somebody, right?
Yep.
It's never their fault, and I get it.
Sure.
I've been a seller a few times myself, and somehow I got caught in the same trap. When you're in that side of the fence, it's very easy to get caught up in my home's worth X, and I swear it's worth this because I got the best of that, and I fell in that same trap. But I found that when people overthink it, they got caught up in their own head.
Yeah. I think it comes down to a fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. Fear of change.
Fear of change.
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
People who get uncomfortable become very successful.
Yes.
People who are stuck in comfort are normally your 9-to-5ers,
Yep.
government official jobs, standard happy, not really happy with their life, but they're happy with the safety and the comfortability. They're making their 50, 60K a year. They've got their 2 weeks off vacation a year, and they're going to get a gold watch in 10 years.
So funny you say that, because this morning, as I do a lot of mindset, and as soon as I wake up, it's like audiobook.
Really? Oh, you do?
Yeah. So because your mind is more susceptible to knowledge and accepting that knowledge when you're fresh in the morning. And there's the alpha, beta, theta state, right? You're when you're dreaming, you're in the theta state, right? You're actually able to see that experience, right? And I was actually talking to some group this morning. I had deja vu this morning while I was
I've been getting it a lot of late.
A meeting, and that's you truly being at the peak of your ability to have a good mindset, right?
Download this app. It's called Pep Talk.
Pep Talk.
I get it every morning. You can choose. There's all different ones. Some are more religious. Some are more personal. Some are more cultural. It depends what style you're looking for. But again, not trying to be racist or anything like that. But you got the big black guy with a heavy voice.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I believe.
Yeah.
You gotta believe.
Yeah.
That
Fires you up.
That pumps me up, right? Some people, I know it's a bit corny. They don't get into it. That pumps me up.
I'm into it all.
I'm
into positive affirmations. I'm into manifestation, all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I'm in my moment this morning, and I had a moment of self-doubt, right? I just had a project fall out of escrow for the second time. It's the sign of the times, right?
Yep.
We've been dealing with this Diamond Bar project for over 100 days. Plus, I've owned it since December, right? Yeah. And I'm at the end right now. I'm at this moment where I'm like, oh my God, I'm possibly in financial
It could go either
ruin,
way,
right? And why do I do this to myself? Was the question that came out, right?
Because risk takers get rewarded.
That's right. I always come back to I'm comfortable in chaos. My wife, she loves being cookie cutter. She loves being, have the salary and the benefits and the 401k, the safety net, right? But I'm the most comfortable when things are chaotic around me. And it took me a lot of therapy to realize that. But,
I'm still going through that. So you give me encouragement. And this year I've gone through a divorce. It's been a horrible year in business. And it's like I've been having those moments of late, like where it's like you start questioning, what am I doing?
What am I doing?
Like, I'm in a foreign country. I don't have any family support. I haven't lost my kids, but I don't get to see them every day like I used to. And I miss them terribly. And, you have those moments you walk in the door and there's no one there. And it's just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Right. And then it's hard to keep positive.
Right.
When you're not internally happy.
Exactly.
Right. And everyone always tells me I'm the happiest guy in the world. And I do enjoy what I do. I love wearing a suit. I love catching up at, Newport Social Group and seeing you when I walk in, or Gatsby, or whatever event I'm going to, and bumping into people like yourself, because the good energy just gets me even more excited. I feed off it. But there's just moments like how do you get out? I mean, how do you get through those moments when you're just like, you're questioning yourself?
I dig deeper. I dig deeper into my spirituality. I dig deeper into, a mental and physical fitness. So I think some people have said, oh, you look like you're in great shape. I'm like, well, it's actually a way for me to get the stress out. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
So I just dig deeper, and I go further into my education because I'm always educating myself, right? I'm not just, I'm 45 years old and I know everything. I'm 45 years old and there's still a shit ton that I don't know.
Learn one thing every day.
Every day, 1% better.
That's all it is.
If you're 1% better every single day, you're 365% better every year.
I'm not as good as I was yesterday. I'm not as good as I was. No, what is the line I used to say? I'm not as good as I'm going to be tomorrow, but I'm better than I was yesterday.
That's perfect. That's amazing. Right? Yeah.
And it's like, how do you take it however you like, right?
Yeah, take it however you like.
That's fine. I'm not here to judge you. Don't judge me. I'm on my own journey.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely. I just find myself as long as I'm surrounding myself with people,
Yeah.
and the good energy,
Yeah.
and positive affirmations constantly.
Yep.
You hear my videos. I'm alive, full of energy, excited.
Yes.
And I did get that from one of my coaches, Bill Pipes. Shout out to you.
Yeah.
And he taught me that.
Yeah.
That's actually was one of his lines, and he may have got angry at me at one point for copying it, but I copied it because I said it's a quote, and I told him, I said the reason why I use it is because that's probably the most exciting quote I've ever heard for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It might not be for someone else, but I gravitated to that quote. I'm alive, I'm excited, and I'm full of energy.
Yeah.
And when you say that out loud several times, you believe it.
You start to believe it.
You start to believe it.
And you start
right?
to feel it.
I always say, I'm going to have an auction today. We're going to sell today. When I'm in the car, we are selling today. We are selling today. I'm going to say sold. We're going to break a record. We're going to get more money than Joe's ever made before.
There's a movie. There's a movie that one of my business partners he sent me, and there's this clip of I can't remember her name. I think Warren Beatty's wife. Anyways, she is a realtor, and she's going around her entire house cleaning the house before an open house, and all she's saying, "I will sell this house today.
Yeah.
I will sell this house today."
I've seen a snippet of that.
Yeah.
I don't know what movie that is, though. I've seen a snippet of it.
It's great, right?
Yep.
And it's so true.
Yeah,
because we have to speak ourselves into existence.
Absolutely.
And so when you say, what do you do when you're feeling self-doubt or when you're feeling down? I speak myself into a better existence, right?
The challenge is, I found when you tell too many people that you're having a challenging time, you become very vulnerable. And unfortunately, we live in a world now where people will take advantage
of that vulnerability.
Right. And it's finding that balance of who do you share what with, right? And I've unfortunately learnt the hard way where I've shared with people who I thought were trustworthy and would help me, and unfortunately did not. And it is what it is. I've learnt my lesson.
Yeah.
Again, I always say you're never failing. You're constantly learning.
Yes.
Right? If you treat it as a failure, you'll be a failure.
Yes.
If you treat it as learning, you're only going to get better.
Yeah.
Right. And that's for me is even now, like one of my colleagues, Glenn. I don't, you know Glenn in my office. I think you met him.
I haven't met Glenn.
Okay.
I think I saw him on one of your videos.
You may have saw him. Yeah. He's normally comes with me at the events, but a young shy guy, 25 years old, really good kid. And he came up to me today and he's like, you know what, you are, and I'm not trying to give myself kudos. I'm just sharing a story.
Sure.
He's like, you know, Simon, you're one of the happiest guys out in public. And I see the other side when I see you miserable and I see you get the bills on their desk and I see your divorce paperwork on your desk and I see you pulling your hair out and having a moment. But then I see you walk out the door and you just switch on. Mm-hmm. And they would never know you're having a shit day or you're in pain or you're hurting and you don't want to be here because somehow he's, I don't know how you do it, dude. How do you just flip the switch like that? I'm like, I try to mirror the people I'm around. Right? If I'm a Debbie Downer, guess what I'm going to attract?
Yeah.
I'm going to attract negativity. I'm going to attract all the negative people out there that are going to talk blah, 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 blah. I want to attract good people that are doing good things, on a great journey, on a great path.
Yeah.
Whatever spirituality you believe in, whatever religion you believe, I don't care. Just believe in something.
Love people more.
Yeah.
Right?
Love yourself first.
Yeah.
Love yourself. Well, I think that's not a problem in this area. I think a lot of people love themselves. I said that.
That's okay.
I just said that.
That's all right.
But
we live in a
different
Netflix
style
environment over here.
A different style of self-love. Not an OnlyFans one.
Yeah.
And then you got to... You like that one, didn't you? And then, you got to have you've just got to be around good people. And for me, I really enjoy when I'm on camera and things are working. And that's one of the reasons why I did Orange County Fashion Week. I honestly wanted to film it for the show that I do.
Yeah.
And Kathy, the organizer, she's like, I don't want you to film it. I want you to be in it. I'm like, no, I don't think you understand. I'm not a model.
Yeah.
I'm a real estate agent and an auctioneer. And she's like, you're a model.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know how to walk. I'm swinging my arms.
Sure.
And I'm like, I don't know what's
That's kind of what I thought. I thought that's what models
do. And they're like, no. I'm like, okay. Like a wet towel. Just walk like a wet towel. Just drag your arms.
I thought you had to move your hips while you're walking up and down.
I don't know. All I'm thinking of is Zoolander all the time where he's like...
Yeah.
But, that got me out of my comfort zone. That was really challenging for me.
Interesting.
Really challenging because as you know, I'm auctioning, I'm
Sure,
on
you're
stage, I'm
you're up there,
presenting,
you're on
I'm on
TV.
camera,
Yeah,
I'm talking.
yeah.
Modeling,
People are just looking at
you're
you.
emotionless.
You're very vulnerable.
It's like you're not allowed to smile, right?
Yeah.
You can't show them any emotion. So like
Yeah.
you're trying to hold a smile in, which is hard for me because I have ADD. You may have noticed I can't sit still here the whole time. I'm like shaking, moving,
Yeah.
fidgeting. And it was really challenging to do that modeling, just being monotoned and just walk with no emotion.
Yeah.
So you'll notice I wear my sunglasses a lot.
Yeah.
It's because I don't want people to see my eyes constantly wandering
Got it.
where I'm going.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many things going on in my head at any one given time.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it was easy but embarrassing when they put me in that leather get up.
Oh my gosh.
Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
Okay, so they had me in a feather jacket with like a full bondage mask on with a muzzle,
Oh, hey now.
and it had rabbit ears.
Okay.
And it was these two crazy guys from Mexico that are designers, Lunel.
Yeah.
And great guys,
Yeah.
great guys. Just like crazy out there, like looks, like leather straps and.
That nobody's gonna wear on the regular street.
But
right?
again, think about it. What fashion parade is? Have you ever seen where people are actually wearing those clothes?
None.
Very
It's just all
rarely.
about the art of it.
It's the art,
Yeah.
exactly. It's the attraction. So when we did that one, that was a very interesting moment for me where
I'd have a hard time with it.
like no one knew it was me. You could only see my eyes.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm like, they can see me. They're looking
Yeah.
at me. They know it's me.
Yeah.
No one knew it was me until after. And that's when
Interesting.
I got all this shit from my friends back home in Australia. Like, what the fuck are you doing in a leather mask?
Yeah.
And have what's going on with you? I thought you were married. Are you gay now? I'm like, no, no.
Yeah,
This
just
isn't
c-
whether
just
I'm
'cause
gay
I
or not.
wore
I'm
something?
a lesbian.
Yeah. Yeah, you are.
And but no, like it's just like I had never seen that side of the world.
Mm.
And it took me out of my comfort zone, and it helped me appreciate another industry that I didn't know anything about. And now I'm loving it. Like,
But it's an experience. You're experiencing stuff. You're having a different culture, so to speak, right? And
Dude, yeah.
And you're understanding things from a different side, which is important, right?
the connections,
Yep.
right? Think about who are all the sponsors of Orange County Fashion Week. The
Yeah.
doctors,
Yeah. best of
the
the
medical
best.
spas,
Yep.
the solariums and tanning places. Very wealthy individuals who live right here in our marketplace that we want to be doing business with.
And people had their eyes on you.
And I've already got an immediate introduction to them.
Yep.
All right. So like the OC Fashion Week is this weekend. I just found out today. And it's only Saturday and Sunday. They're only doing 2 days.
Yep.
Saturday, Sunday. And, there's after parties that are going to be on both nights. And they're only inviting select crowds. Now, one of them's in Fashion Island, the other one somewhere in Costa Mesa. But it's like these are going to be events that like people would pay good money to be at because of the people that are going to be there.
Yeah.
And now I've got an introduction. People say, why are you doing the modeling? That's why I'm doing it.
Yep.
To get the connections, to get out of my comfort zone as well. It's obviously a personal thing. But business-wise, I'm meeting people everywhere.
That's amazing.
And it just, the more people you meet, you know the rule, the more people you meet, the more chances of success. The more dials you make, the more people you're going to answer.
That's it.
The more doors you knock, the more they're going to open. It's just a number. Everything's a numbers
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it.
I think that somebody asked me one time, like, why are you doing this stuff on trying to get on TV all the time? Why are you trying to get on, what's the show about, right? It's really just exposure. Right?
Totally.
It's just getting yourself eyes on you, so that way you can build their trust, right? Because people do business with who they know, like, and trust.
Correct.
And then in addition to that, I got on the HD TV show with Tarek El Moussa.
Nice.
Flipping 101 coming out in 2024.
Excellent.
And
congratulations.
Thank you. And we're building all of this content here on the show. So because we want people to look us up and see who we are and see what we do and see how we're impacting the community.
You do know when you're on a television show, when your name comes up on a screen, you're Googled 20,000 times in the first 30 seconds.
Perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
So make sure your Google profile's on point.
That's right. I gotta make sure that's on point.
It's painful because no one damn works at Google and you can never get a hold of anyone to help you. I Google my business for one of my teams has just been on suspended for like 3 years now because I just can't get them to fix it. But it's painful.
Just send me the code. Just send me the code.
God, just help me.
That's funny.
Um,
So with the auction part,
yes.
we're creating now we're putting new eyes on it because we dropped the price dramatically, right?
Well, let me ask this before you say that.
Yeah.
How many showings did you roughly have over the 100 odd days? Say 90 days.
There was a lot actually. We were getting the first weekend out, we had 50 people show up.
And how long was your open house?
It was for 4 hours.
4 hours.
Right.
Okay.
And then after that, we received an offer the first weekend, and I knowing what I know now, I should have accepted that offer. But at the end of the day,
Can't change the past.
Can't change the past. And so, but we get an average of 2 to 3 showings a day for the last 100 days. So what's that equate to? Like over
200.
Over 300 showings, right? So there was a lot of eyes on it, but they weren't making offers. And now we're in the situation where, hey, hard money's running out. We have to make an adjustment.
Yeah.
We either refinance and hold on to it, or we do something different. And that's where the option came in, right?
Something different.
And this is a whole different way of doing things, because now we're creating a sense of urgency where there wasn't a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
The takeaway factor, right? So I'm really excited about just the opportunity of working with Rekka and seeing how it can impact what I'm doing. Yeah. But I'm also I'm looking at things from a different perspective on any listing that I have, right?
Because now you've got another tool in your tool belt.
I got another tool in my tool belt, and it's like I even had to go train somebody earlier today. Like, she thinks I'm wasting my time by only having one open house that's an hour long and it's just one weekend, right? But think about how much attraction we'll get just by putting that one open house up and see what happens.
Think of a funnel.
Yeah.
All you're doing is funneling everybody into a period that you're going to be able to be there at and show the property in its best light.
Right.
Right? Now, if you have a lockbox,
anybody can come.
Anyone can come. Unless you've gone there in the morning every day, turn the lights on, open the windows up, made it fresh and clean, and put some scents around the property, maybe did some landscaping, whatever, like every day, then it would look good. But guess what's going to happen when you have a lockbox? They're going to leave a window open, they're going to leave a light on, maybe open a fridge or a freezer and not close it properly, then you got a leak in the house.
Slam the door too hard, crack a window.
Something's always broken. Or they open the door and all the leaves blow in.
Yep.
And then no one's cleaned it, no one's told you that it's dirty.
Yep.
And you don't know until you get there. The house isn't showing in its best form, which is deterring buyers from taking action.
Yeah.
So that's why we do them for an hour, controlled by the listing agent.
Yeah.
Like, you're there.
Yeah.
You can ask questions. Like, I got another listing we just listed today, actually, in Woodland Hills. It's very important to these sellers that we have somebody on the bottom level of the house manning it. There's nothing expensive. It's just sentimental items that are worth more than money, couldn't count. But that's what's important to them.
Yeah.
So we've arranged to have another person down there. You can't do that with a lockbox. Right? And guess who's going to get blamed if something's stolen?
Yeah.
We are. And that's not, in 22 years, thank God, touch wood, I've never had anything stolen from any of my open houses or listings, because we take precautionary measures.
Sure.
But if you can, the whole reason for the 1 hour open house is actually 2 reasons. Number one, you don't need to do more than an hour. You just don't.
It's just a
You saw it for yourself.
Unspoken rule that we have to be there for 4 hours.
Only country in the world that does it for more than an hour.
Yeah.
Only country in the world.
Yeah.
Well, if you count Canada, but yeah,
sure.
You guys are all together, I say.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, because then you're gonna call me a New Zealander.
We're gonna get a bunch of
I'm not
Canadians
a New Zealander. Canadians, eh? But in Australia, we do half an hour open house. Half an hour.
So it's the interpretation that you've driven into the area. You may as well be there for a specific period of time.
Yeah.
But it just popped into my head. Well, actually, you know what it's done by me only having 1 hour open house? It's given me more time to circle prospect the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you. You've just realized it.
Yeah.
I can only tell people so much.
Yeah.
There are some things I want you to discover for yourself, and you just nailed it.
Yeah.
The second reason I was going to tell you is because my goal is to get you doing more than one open house in one day.
Right.
Now, think about this, Joe. If you could do 2 open, or let's just say you did 3 open houses in Diamond Bar on the same day, chances are you may see the same people more than once.
Yeah.
What do you think their perception of you would be?
Oh, this guy's hustling.
He owns the market.
Yeah.
Now, there's damn well there's more than 3 properties in the whole of Diamond Bar.
Of course.
But the fact is that they've seen you actively in multiple locations within the same suburb gives them the perception that you are the dominant agent in that area.
Yep.
And you have market share.
Yeah.
So what does that give you? More business,
Yep.
more trust,
Yeah.
just more everything, right?
Yeah.
So that's my whole goal, is to get you not being a Californian agent.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that, I mean, don't work all over California. Narrow your market into a certain couple of marketplaces and dominate them.
Yeah.
You dominate, you won't need to leave those areas.
Exactly.
If you look at the most successful agents in the world, they all work within a 3-mile radius, give or take a mile.
Yeah.
They don't need to. In
Right.
Sydney, if I couldn't walk to my listing, I wouldn't take it.
Interesting.
And I still became the number one.
Right.
I don't get me wrong, there's a large period of my life where I struggled to understand this concept.
We take our areas for granted, right?
Do you think, I mean, yeah, he does. But I say, do you think Tim Smith, goes inland? He will if it's a substantially large property, but otherwise he's sticking to the coast.
Right.
Laguna Beach, Crystal Cove, Emerald Bay, and Newport. That's him. That's all he's every day.
I was just thinking about it from I walk my dog every day.
Yeah.
I talk to the people in my neighborhood every day.
And where do you live?
I live in Fountain Valley.
Perfect.
Right. So I go around and I talk to these people. I have this little digital business card. And when people start talking to me about their employment or their business, I start talking about my business. And then the next thing I know, I'm handing them my business card, my digital business card, and getting their information, right?
All it is.
You take your own area for granted because what's there? There's houses. There's people moving in and out.
Yeah.
I can't stand when I see somebody else's sign pop up in my neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Dag into the heart. Especially when it's your next door neighbor.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
How the
Dang it.
really? We had lunch on last week. You didn't tell me? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know you were a real estate agent. How did you not know? There's freaking signs all over my driveway every weekend. You
Yeah.
know I'm in real estate. Anyway, whatever.
Yep.
But that's funny you say that. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. But
Yeah.
look, there's a reason why I wear the flower.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I wear colorful socks. There's a reason why I carry this in my bag everywhere and people see it.
Yeah.
It's a
It's not
talking
just a
point.
gimmick. It's not just a gimmick. It's your persona.
But it's my image.
Yeah.
It's who I am. Right? It's a part of me. Right? I actually get these handcrafted. These are made to my hand.
I love that.
It actually fits perfectly in the palm of my hand.
Yeah, I gotta find something.
I have a wood turner in Australia, and I buy them. He turns them for me and sends them over.
Yeah. My bald head is my gimmick. No.
Hey, if that works for you, own it, dude. Own it. I know your look.
Yeah.
Even when I've seen you with a blazer, you've got your polo look.
Yeah.
I can't pull a polo off like you.
Yeah.
I feel awkward in it.
Yeah.
They're either too loose or they're too tight, and I just feel restricted.
I feel you.
My suits feel good on me.
Yeah.
I get them tailored and they fit me how I want them to. But whatever you're wearing, own it.
Yeah.
Right? I've always worked my whole life, and I was never much of a scholar. I struggled to study because of my ADD. And
Isn't it funny how many people that are in entrepreneurship, they barely graduated high school?
dude, I was told by every teacher I was going to be a checkout chick for the rest of my life. So, at Ralph's or CVS, just scanning at the cash register. You'll never make it. You're a failure. I've been told my whole life you can't do it.
Yeah.
And what do you tell when have you got kids?
No kids.
Okay. So when you have, I'm sure even as a child, you may remember your parents telling you can't have something. What did you do? You wanted it more, right?
Yeah. That's why I tell people I have been in sales most of my life, because I've always been trying to sell my mom on why I needed that thing I wanted.
That's
right?
why I need the Atari. That's why I need the Nintendo. That's why I need the PlayStation. That's why I need the Sega. I need this, Mom.
Yep.
It's gonna help my education.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, it's instilled in your body DNA, right?
Yeah.
You either got it or you don't. So I say to people, you can't learn negotiating. You can only enhance what you already know.
Amazing. Wow. Well, we're going to end on that note, because that is a perfect statement for this show. It was an inspiring statement, and it's just,
Yeah, man.
I've had such a great time with you.
Dude, you tell me when you want me to come back. I'll come back
We're definitely
anytime.
going to have you back.
Hey,
because-
we're going to talk about the success that we have.
Yes, we'll have a follow-up episode after we sell this house.
Look forward to it.
At Recca.
Thank you, my friend.
So I appreciate. Well,
Hey.
before we go, where can people find you?
Connectwithsimon.com.
Okay.
It's probably the best way. You get all my social media, you get all my email addresses, you get all my websites are all on there. So from my personal to my business, everything's on there.
Perfect.
I'm an open book. So connect with simon.com, everything you need.
Making it easy.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So if you like what you saw here today, please subscribe to our show on YouTube. And then, of course, you could always find me at Joe Cohen Inspires. So until next time, be inspired and keep going after it.